So everybody, this is Toffee bringing you Chapter 7, Part 2 of my Fire Emblem 4 LTC. You've sat through many hours until now. It's time to see something new. Yes, we'll be saving a turn on this map. First, we'll reap the most significant benefit of pairing Lachesis. Her and Dew's daughter Nanna will return Leif back home and then use the returned ring she inherited to teleport herself across the ocean to Revo. Finn, on the other hand, will stay in the south and he will be a one-man army against the reinforcements spilling out of Alster, stacking kills on the javelin. In the northwest, Shannon talks to Midir and Bridget's daughter, Patty, and this gives him his holy weapon, Balmunk. Balmunk massively improves his ability to dodge, and with it, Shannon will take on the defenders around Eid. Patty is our thief in Generation 2, and she will stick around for a few turns to farm some gold from the enemies here, using her sleep edge to reduce the damage she will take. Since Fee's strength and magic growths are the same, she will actually use the Levin Sword as her primary weapon in Generation 2. We get Leif intentionally damaged here in order to set up the trick that will save us a turn. Leif will dump all his excess inheritance and make it past the 40,000 gold threshold, and then step outside. We do some more inventory management, and importantly, Seliph sells his Night Ring, as he now has Innate Canto as a mount, and his Leg Ring. Wait, what? Seliph sells his Leg Ring? What madness possessed me from the past? Even stranger, we have Lana buy the Leg Ring and Night Ring. This is what we wanted Lana to inherit 60,000 gold for. Footlock units outside of the dancers sporting the Leg Ring are a famous casual trap, but just this once, we have something cooking. Lana now has 8 move. Lana moves one tile outside to unblock the castle entrance, targets Leif with the rescue staff, but then backs out and uses Fortify. And then the cursor moves to Leif and Lana doesn't grey out. This is the Canto storage glitch I mentioned in descriptions earlier. When Lana is selected again, she will go into the Canto state that you expect, but until then she can be manipulated like a unit that hasn't moved. Julia buys Warp and moves out and warps Lana home. Back home, Lana sells the leg ring back to Seliph. She's currently in a state of Canto storage, and if we were to try to use an outside stuff, it would corrupt the inventories of many of our units, but that's not what we want to do. Because the game records leftover movement at the time when they go into a state of Canto, despite selling the leg ring, Lana still has bonus movement for the turn. She used up one move to step off of the entrance, meaning she can move 7 move after leaving the home castle. This lets her move further than she normally would be able to on turn 1, and this extra move will be key to the new turn save that I show off. Lana will need to move her full move on every single turn until turn 9, and this is why this turn save necessitates pairing Lachesis. We need our Troubadour to get back home for the later parts of this map, and Lana will be too busy to rescue her across the ocean. I should note that Valk and I figured out an alternate turn save that I will discuss later, which does not have this restriction, and I will talk about why exactly these two turn saves seem to be mutually exclusive. If you were to reconcile the two, you would definitely need Nanna. Oifi can talk to Diarmuid to give him some stat boosts. Eid Castle is across a massive desert, and nobody can keep up with Seliph outside of maybe Fee, but fortunately he can travel unassisted. The enemies who our other units can reach are Dark Mages who hit very hard. Our unit stats work out so Oifi can steal from a Dark Mage and Lester can chip a Dark Mage down to range of being killed by anyone in our army. We rig Paddy to put the Mercenary to sleep on turn 1. I can finally start talking about all of our new units. Shannon is a footlocked combat god, which means he's a curiosity. Nevertheless, he does put his great combat to good work here, as he's clearing out Seliph's way for Lair in this chapter. He has follow-up and Adept from his class, and Astra. Shannon also does something at the very end of a ranked LTC. Patty does thief things, and we had Midir pass her the bargain ring and several valuable items to allow her to start distributing money right away from this chapter. Patty has follow-up and Onslaught. Down in the south, Finn will be the primary defender of Leinster, though Fee will head over there to grab the villages. He was rigged to not exceed 19 defense to get the sword armors from Alster to still attack him, and he one-rounds them with a javelin to quickly build kills. Then we come to Nanna and Leif. Nanna has charm and bargain just like her brother Diarmuid, and she has enough sellables to buy Paragon for her run through the arena. Much like Ethlin in Generation 1, Nanna will be one of the most important units because of her ability to use the return staff on a horse. We do rig some magic on her, but it was probably unnecessary in hindsight. We want to ensure that Nanna will reach 16 resistance eventually to defuse enemy staff users. We need to clear out Seliph's way to keep him moving full move each turn, though this would normally result in him being one square short of seizing Eid on turn 8. We transfer the crit steel sword over to Seliph to put more kills on it. We intentionally equip a one-range weapon on Seliph on this turn. Finn moves down to engage the first wave from Alster. We'll then run Nanna and Leif through the arena with Paragon. I'll have timestamps for when their arena runs end in the description, though I will talk about Leif before dropping off. Leif is the son of Quan and Evelyn, and much like Seliph in the previous chapter, Leif's promotion is of paramount importance. Leif promotes to Master Knight, which means that he is the sole mounted unit who can use the rescue staff. As such, we want to get him to promotion as soon as we can. Past LTCs would aim to get him to level 20 by the end of this chapter, promote him, and have him buy the rescue staff in preparation for the next chapter. We will do this as well, but if you wanted to avoid using the Canto storage glitch and opt for the alternative turn save, you would not be able to do this, and would instead aim to get him to 16.68 by the end of the map. Leif only comes with Adept and Critical at base, and he will be facing a vicious enemy phase during his training arc, which is why we made sure to give him the Pursuit Ring. His weapon of choice for this chapter will be the Lightbrand his mother received from Seliph all those chapters ago. We want to ensure Leif does not exceed 19 defense until a certain point in this chapter, and we also want him to eventually reach 16 resistance, much like Nanna. Once Leif steps out, Lana will rescue him closer to the front lines. for some intense rigging. Nanna finishes her arena run. We do probably have to turn around and immediately rig a level up for her when she returns Leif back home. And now, Leif will start his arena run. Like I said earlier, I have a timestamp that you can skip to in the description for when he finishes his arena run. will now buy the light brand for his combat of this chapter. And as previously mentioned, Lana will rescue Leif forward. Lana uses rescue and fortify a lot on this map, and the resultant level ups are a source of mend targets for Julia during the early parts of this map. Here we made sure Seliph did not have a 2-range option equipped in order to ensure that there would be a mage that he could attack from near where he stands. On this turn, Seliph pulls off a movement storage trick. By fighting the Dark Mage, he goes into a canto state with his remaining moves stored. By then dismounting, he retains the same stored movement but has the terrain properties of an infantry unit, which lets him move a couple of extra squares, which is what lets him squeeze out an 8 turn of Eid. Previously, it was believed that this trick required Seliph to be holding the Night Ring to pull off, but I rediscovered that you do not need to have the Night Ring on Seliph for this trick. And as a matter of fact, there is a very old LTC that actually did pull this trick off without the Night Ring on Seliph. Now that Leif is active, we will want to feed Dark Mage kills to him. Finn slips past the general leading the Alster forces. We need him to stay alive in order for the reinforcements to keep pouring out. So to slip past him, like Finn first retreats, and then he will use his great movement combined with the road tiles to get past his movement range on the opposite side. Evacuates out of Eid with her return ring on turn 4 in order to reach a particular spot later on the map. Julia has one spare warp to burn on this map for EXP, and we use it here to send Nanna home, as it will be only much later in the chapter that we need her services with the return stuff. The first unit who will benefit from Patty's generosity is Ahmed. We want to give him 13,500 gold to allow him to buy the Paragon Ring for the next chapter's arena. She will grab 3,000 gold from the Dark Mage near the home castle along her way. Fee gets the speed ring, adding a second ring to her collection. Fee chips the general down to critical HP, which will cause him to retreat to Alster after this enemy phase, which will also temporarily pause the reinforcements. This will give Finn some time to head back to Leinster to repair his javelin and get some castle healing. And with that, Shannon finishes routing the enemies around Eid. We could have him kill the boss of Eid, but we decide to give that kill to Seliph instead. Shannon's EXP should now be on track to level cap by the end of the generation, given the other work that we have in mind for him anyway. We will have Lana pull Skathak and Leif further forward so that they can get to where they need to in time. And we make use of rescue tile manipulation, as you saw over there. We could maybe plan things out better so Nanna gets more mend uses on this map, but it's not super important. Like, Nanna does not strictly need to promote for quite a long time. On turn 8, we get Lana to that spot by maximizing her movement every single turn after using the counter storage glitch, which is just far enough for what she will have to do next. Seliph will seize Eid. Usually changes to the map only happen the enemy phase after the Lord seizes, but in this special case the cliffs below 8 disappear immediately, giving Shannon and Seliph a shorter path to rejoin our main troops. The guards blocking the path to Melgen retreat to the path leading to Dahna, and we see the Melgen army deploy. Melgen's army is actually quite intimidating. Seliph and Finn are probably the only units who can really go toe-to-toe with them, and both of them are quite far away. Oifi will have to step up to the plate, and we will need to opt for a surgical strike. Seliph moves 11 squares forward. The rough terrain prevents him from moving a 12th, even if he were to dismount in a canto state. Finn took some time to restore some HP, but he will then ride out for his second charge. Leif from that spot can pull Seliph across the desert, saving him 2 turns of movement. Because of the Night Ring and the 2 extra moves she earned on turn 1, she can canto 2 squares down, which positions her for the next turn. Alster can go and fight the Brigand a couple of times, while Oifi will lead the assault on Melgen. That Brigand's AI will only get him to start moving on turn 15. With his Fee finishes grabbing all of the villages in this area. Because of Lana's extra movement, she can rescue Seliph once more on this turn to that spot with Larse and Diarmid manipulating his drop point. Seliph is now exactly 2 full moves away from Melgen Castle, though the path is very exacting and we will need Skathak and Diarmid to go down to clear out his path. Oifi stops 3 squares from Seliph on a plane style to take advantage of Seliph's leadership stars. He equips the Armor Slayer to kill the armors who will attack him at 1 range. He cannot really stand up to the Melgen army with the crit javelin, and the Earth Sword would break too quickly and also fail to kill the enemies. Oifi needs to just survive this turn. Fortunately, the commander of the Melgen army moves last, so the army does not benefit from her leadership stars on this turn. The bow armor to the bottom right of Oifi is on the narrow path Seliph must take to Melgen, which is why we needed to send Skathak to kill him. Skathak needs an Astro proc to actually kill him, given that he's only holding the Iron Blade and not a crit weapon. Or an Armor Slayer. Larse, of course, would have worked just as well. Then Oifi and Seliph's path is blocked by an enemy priest, but Diarmid can one-shot her with the Silver Blade. We move Leif up against the Dahna wall and have Larse wait over there with a 1-use Iron Sword for a nasty enemy phase coming up. Then Oifi will clear out the guard in front of the Melgen Castle, using the Earth Sword in order to wear down 2 uses of it. Finally, Seliph can just barely reach Melgen Castle, kill the boss, and seize Melgen on turn 11. The boss drops the Thoron Tome, though we do not yet have a user for it. We will move Finn and Fee to specific spots for the sake of an AI manip on the upcoming enemy phase. Dahna army deployed to the field, and Leif is in for the fight of his life. Ultimately, we just want him to hit his EXP threshold by the end, and we have him as the only possible target for the Sword Calves and the Bow Knights. The boss, Javaro, will attack him, and we need Leif to not kill him for a couple of reasons. The first is the Cavalier you see, Ares. He will join us at the start of the next player phase, but only if he's alive, of course, and his boss needs to be alive as well. Second, in this strategy, we want Javaro to head back into Dahna to bring reinforcements for Leif to slaughter. If Leif's HP gets too low, Ares will attack him, and if Eldigan's son uses the missile chain, Leif will have a rough time surviving. Leif, of course, needs to survive, but he also needs to not exceed 19 defense because that would defuse the Sword Knights from the second wave. Leif does not pull perfect hit on the enemies because of the Lightbrand shaky hit, which is also frustrating. I was fortunate to find a great RN seed very quickly here, where Leif routs all of Javaro's generic lackeys and spares him. Since Leif also stays at high HP, Ares ends up attacking Larse, who we had prepared with a 1-use Iron Sword. With Nihil, Larsay negates Mistletane's ability to crit if he chooses to use that weapon, much like her mother all those chapters ago. If he procs Adept with the Mistletoane, we would have issues, of course. In return, the big risk with using Larsay for this job is that she might proc Astra, but the one-use Iron Sword stops her from doubling Ares or proccing Astra. Near Alster, two separate complements of mages deployed to the field. The right set are the Triangle Attack Sisters, while the left are Linda's squad. We want the sisters to go to the right, while Linda's crew go left, and that is why we placed Finn and Fee in the way we did. It exactly slices them apart the way we want. The General of Alster also returns with a fresh batch of Javelin meat. Linda is a recruitable unit, and we will need to get Oifi to help bait her closer so her brother Ahmed can talk to her and recruit her. Salif starts riding north for Dahna, and this places him in range for Lana to rescue. This will free up Melgen Castle for Ahmed to be warped there, but right before that happens, Patty reaches him to transfer over his gold for the next chapter. Nanna returns Larsay home. She will have another job to do now. Patty sold her sleep edge, and we will soon get a unit who wants to use it, but they're rather poor to start with and can't afford it. We need Larsay to grind it down to a low number of uses. If one of the sword units had not been killed by Leif and cantered down, Larsay could have killed him to clear the way before being returned. Ares has joined us. He is the son of Eldegard, coming with the Mistletoane and the skills Follow Up, Adept, and Vantage. Importantly, Mistletoane gives a big resistance boost, and Ares also has a decent resistance stat, which will make him an important unit for Chapter 10. He will be another beneficiary of Patty later in the map. Lana rescues Seliph and cantos backwards. You may at this point wonder if Lana could canto to the left and then rescue Seliph forward again on the next turn. That is indeed the alternative turn save that Valk and I found to 2-turn Dahna. It doesn't seem to be possible to pull it off after a 3-turn of Melgen like in this clear for a few reasons. First of all, even with Nanna, the way Lana's movement works out in a 3-turn of Melgen, you would need a 2-tile rescue boost on Seliph on this second turn to seize Dahna, which requires 8 units to block off tiles. Then, in order to also get the fastest clear of the final castle, you would need Julia to basically be able to reach the spot next to Dahna Castle on foot, which seems to require her to get a 3-tile rescue boost during the early part of the chapter. While doing all this, you would still need Leif to reach 60.68. It didn't seem doable to me, but if you wanted to try to save a turn over this run, trying to reconcile those 2 turn saves would be the most promising place to look. Oifi burns up 2 more uses of the Earth Sword and will rush to the right. We moved Lana backwards last turn so she could rescue Patty to closer to talk to Seliph to get us the second Brave Sword. Seliph with the Brave Sword can kill every single remaining castle boss except for 2 of them. Over here, we set up Ares and Leif in position for the upcoming enemy phase. Javaru is the first unit to come out and he goes for Ares. Ares will end up diverting 2 of the Sword Knights and he just wants to survive the hits. The chip EXP he gets is a bonus, but even if he did miss, I probably would not be too fussed about it. The rest of the enemies will dogpile onto Leif and he actually hits level 20 on this turn. Something as well to note about reconciling the Melgen turn save and the Dahna turn save is for a ranked run, recruiting Linda also becomes much more difficult due to some logistical issues. I'll go more in depth as to the problems in the description. Flynn sets up Miracle for enemy phase by getting damaged by Banba. This chip will also set her up to be killed by Fee. The Maid Sisters will actually prefer to attack at 1 range to try to set up a triangle attack. Leif has a spare turn here, and we use it to chip down Javaru for Lester to kill. FE does eventually get the 11th sword to crit, though I don't think it really matters. Not on this chapter, I mean like much later in Generation 2. Shannon starts his arena run here. He could of course have stayed near Eid and finished it there, but this way we got a mend and warp on Julia. Larse will also work on grinding down this sleep edge. Sylph then seizes Dahna. We immediately return him home to free up the castle entrance. This will allow Ares to visit Dahna, which will recruit Laylea, our dancer for Generation 2. Laylea is a substitute since Sylvia did not marry, and she of course comes with rather low stats being a dancer. Laylea has charm, which means that she cannot rely on Miracle the way Sylvia did. Instead, the way we will rig Laylea through the arena is with the sleep edge. In this chapter in particular, due to her low starting gold, we had to grind down the sleep edge and an iron sword down to low uses so she can actually buy them. And in general, she relies a lot on weapon stretching to save money. We split up Ares' arena run across several turns, so we can rig each level up individually. Luna rescues Laylea to within range of Julia, and Julia will then warp her to Melgen. This warp is the biggest reason why Julia actually stepped outside the home castle and tagged along instead of staying back at home and spamming staves in the home castle. Because of the logistics of what needs to happen for these few turns, it would not work if Julia was staying at home. She needs to be able to warp units who are on the field. We grab Larse's talk with Shannon, which gives them love points and a stat boost for Larse. Laylea will complete her entire arena run at Dahna, and due to the financial constraints, she will use a broken sword after putting the enemy to sleep for several fights. This goes on for quite a while even with speed up. I'll have a timestamp to skip to in the description for the end of Laylea's arena run. We do want Laylea to eventually reach 16 resistance for the late game. There is a special event on this map where if Laylea visited one of the villages near Leinster, she would get a special barrier blade that would give +7 resistance to the wielder. This would have been nice to have, but it's too far out of the way for the LTC. Freedom! We're done. Laylea cantos forward. Oipi gets in range of Linda's squad on this turn, and we will pull her over to the left. We got the Earth Sword to 6 uses, so it would break right before Linda attacks him. We want Oifi to crit kill the second Thunder Mage on his second hit in order to free up the spot for Linda to attack him from. I guess I can talk about Linda. Linda hits the substitute jackpot, being a Thunder Mage with Throat Blood like Tailtear, and hence can use the Thoron Tome at base. Additionally, she has Paragon and Rat. She does not need any map combat at all to level cap, and while we can theoretically get her to visit the arena this chapter, we don't bother and she still promotes by chapter 10. Because of Linda having Wrath, we do not want to bring her to low HP and turn her into a crit machine when she's on the enemy side. Leif will return himself home by buying the Return Ring and turn in the Pursuit Ring and the Paragon Ring. We then want Nanna to return Julia home so she can warp Seliph, for which Lana must rescue one of them towards the other. Patty will now embark on her arena run. She doesn't have great base stats, but she can still just muscle through the arena. The Lightbrand is her trump card for tough arena fights. It is at 100 kills now. Seliph also finishes his arena along the way. I'll have a timestamp for when Patty finishes her arena run in the description. In the middle of the arena run, we warped Seliph over to Melgen. Patty wants to give Yuchirba a little more than 13,000 gold to allow him to buy the Paragon Ring in the next chapter. The reason why we warped Laylea to Melgen last turn is so that she can dance Seliph on this turn to shave a turn off of the final castle. Seliph and Oifi charge towards Alster together, though Fee ends up also being nearby to be an alternative to clear Seliph's way on the final turn. Jarmut will take over baiting Linda to the left since Ahmed just barely can't reach her on this turn. Finn gets one last good turn of grinding kills on the Javelin. It almost reaches 50 kills and it will get there early on the next map. Jarmut does need to dodge one of the attacks that goes for him on this enemy phase. But I guess that's where Lilia's charm is helping. It's now the final turn and we want to clean up. Lester will finally kill the Brigand and visit the village to get the shield ring. This will be money to help him buy the Paragon ring for the next map's arena. One of Oifi and Fee need to kill the left general guarding Alster for Seliph to reach it. On the final turn, we have a choice between two options. We warp Paddy to Dahna to give Ares 15,500 gold to let him buy Paragon in the next chapter. Alternatively, we could have warped Leif with the rescue staff to Melgen to rescue Linda to Melgen Castle to use the arena, but she doesn't need it to promote by chapter 10. I do one more Canto storage here just to let Nanna sell the return staff after sending Lana home to complete her arena. This Canto storage is not needed, I just wanted to see if I could do anything interesting with the return staff since Nanna has a chance to rebuy return before needing it in the next map with the route I went with here. Lana promotes to High Priest. We wanted to ensure a Thundertome would show up in the armory for her to use. Leif will also promote and Lana will sell him the rescue staff. Leif gets follow-up on promotion. Lana, Yuchirba, and Larse will finish their arenas, and Seliph will cease to complete the map in 16 turns.